Amazin Again, the official highlight video of the 1999 New York Mets, is sponsored by Office Depot. Office Depot, taking care of business. After missing the 1998 postseason by a single game, the New York Mets reported to spring training with a purpose: to end their 10-year absence from the playoffs. The offseason addition of impact players like Robin Ventura, Ricky Henderson, and Armando Benitez bolstered an already impressive roster. The Mets opened their 38th season on the road, taking 5 of 7 games from the Marlins and the Montreal Expos. The fast start had a capacity Shea Stadium crowd buzzing for the home opener. Bobby Jones silenced the Florida bats all afternoon, but it was his bat that finished Florida in the 5th. It was the only homer by a New York pitcher all year, and it capped a decisive 4-run inning as the Mets ran away with opening day at Shea. 2 days later, the spotlight shined on another member of the pitching staff. John Franco reached a major milestone, protecting a 4-1 New York lead to become just the second player in baseball history to reach the 400-save plateau.
It was a good milestone to reach. Only one other player has reached it. Just doing it here at Shea. It was a good accomplishment. Hopefully, you never know, maybe 500s in the future, but more important right now is to try to win and get into the World Series.
The Brooklyn native also became the only player to wear a Mets uniform for the entire decade of the 90s. The Mets struggled at the end of April, and their record fell to 11-9. On April 28th, they trailed the San Diego Padres by a run in the final inning. With a man on, Mike Piazza turned things around.
Off and set. The pitch to Piazza. Hit in the air to deep right field. That goes Quinn. Looking up, and it's out of here! The Mets win the ball game! Mike Piazza with a 2-run opposite field home run off Trevor Hoffman. And the Mets have beaten the Padres in their final turn it back.
The walk-off blast sparked a season-best 6-game win streak as the Mets' record improved to 17-9. The late-inning comeback also shattered the Padres' record of 181 wins in games when they led after 8 innings. A major factor in the Mets' early success was the outstanding performance of their bullpen. Dennis Cook won a career-high 10 games from the left side, while durable right-hander Turk Wendell set the franchise record with 80 relief appearances. Pat Mahomes proved to be another excellent addition, winning all 8 of his decisions and contributing some big hits as well. John Franco was again among the league leaders with 19 saves before a finger injury put him on the DL for 2 months. In Franco's absence, setup man Armando Benitez blossomed into one of the league's dominant closers. The fireballer blew away the competition, using his 98-mile-per-hour fastball to rack up a career-high 19 saves and strike out 128 men in just 78 innings. In May, New York and Milwaukee clashed in a doubleheader that was doubly memorable for Robin Ventura. The third baseman opened the first game with a grand slam. Then, in the nightcap, he went where no ballplayer had ever gone before.
The 3-2 pitch, hit in the air to deep right field. Looking up is Burnett, and it's out of here! Robin Ventura with his second grand slam of the doubleheader. His 12th career grand slam.
A few years ago, I hit 2 in one game, and it was just odd to actually have it in 2 games of a doubleheader on the same day, because it felt pretty much the same, even though it was 2 games. And it was really crazy. I think you just come up there again and think, man, this is not going to happen again. So, it's obviously nice. I mean, you want to have those things, but it's just a fluke, and you're just glad you're the lucky recipient.
Ventura would crush a third slam in August to tie a Mets season record. His 15 career slams also tied him for the Major League lead among active players. By any measure, Ventura's first National League season was a resounding success. He hit over 300 for the first time in his career and drove in a personal best 120 runs. The offensive surprise of the season was Hawaiian Benny Agbayani, who made the most of his call-up from Norfolk. Benny electrified the Shea crowd with his red-hot bat, quickly collecting his first 4-hit, 2-homer, and 4 RBI games. Agbayani also strung together 6 consecutive hits and became the fastest Met to reach 10 home runs, turning the trick in just 73 at-bats. If there was a recurring theme to the Mets season, it was an ability to mount dramatic comebacks. One such victory came on May 23rd in a Sunday afternoon game with the Philadelphia Phillies. Trailing Curt Schilling 4-0 in the bottom of the ninth, the Mets gave new meaning to the phrase, "better late than never."
Schilling comes set. The pitch to Olerud. Line drive, base hit into left field. In comes Lopez. Here comes Cedeno. Here comes Dan's throw from left field. The slide. Safe. The Mets win it. The Mets win it. Cedeno slides home under the tag of Mike Lieberthal. A 2-run game-winning single for John Olerud. The Mets score 5 runs off Curt Schilling in the bottom of the ninth inning. And the Mets win it in a remarkable finish.
The Mets got off to a rough start in June, losing 8 straight to drop below the 500 mark.
I didn't mind because it was a losing streak, and I knew things would turn, and you should be judged when you're doing your worst. But it was a lousy situation, no doubt about that.
The slide continued through the first 2 Subway Series games at Yankee Stadium. Then, in the third game, the Mets began a remarkable resurrection.
Now the pitch. Long drive, deep left center field, way back, and that ball is gone. Home run, Mike Piazza, number 10 on the year.
Al Leiter turned his season around with a masterful pitching performance against his former team. Leiter's win brought Roger Clemens' American League record winning streak to an end at 20 games. The Mets went on to capture 14 of their next 17 series. Starting pitching continued to play a pivotal role. Rick Reed won a career-high 7 consecutive games. Masato Yoshii notched 5 straight. Rookie Octavio Dotel won 7 in a row. And veteran Oral Hershiser picked up his 200th career victory. On June 9th, the Mets were looking to put the finishing touches on a 3-game sweep of the visiting Toronto Blue Jays. Trailing David Wells 3-0 in the bottom of the ninth, the New York Bats came alive. The tie lasted until 12:16 the following morning, when Ray Ordonez brought the extra inning marathon to a close.
Plesac delivers fly ball deep left field. Mets are going to win. Base hit for Ordonez, and the Mets have won it in the 14th inning.
The Mets shortstop collected 7 hits in the series, and by mid-month, his batting average had climbed above the 300 mark. Mets fans certainly welcomed the offensive success, but it was Ray's defensive abilities that wowed the crowds. On June 13th, Ordonez committed an 8th-inning miscue against Boston that turned out to be a highlight of sorts. Less than halfway into the season, the Mets shortstop had committed what would be his 4th and final error of 1999. The 100-game airless streak eclipsed Cal Ripken's all-time mark for shortstops. During that time, Ray handled 411 total chances, en route to his third consecutive Gold Glove.
Ordonez! How about that one from Ray Ordonez?
Robin Ventura collected his first National League Gold Glove as he continued to flash the kind of leather that won him 6 in the American League. Converted third baseman Edgardo Alfonso made a seamless transition to second base. With just 5 errors all year, he became the first infielder on record to play an entire season without mishandling a ground ball. The stellar defense made national headlines. Mets fielders made just 68 errors all season, shattering the previous low of 81. And the nearly flawless infield set a new standard with just 33 miscues, often turning the spectacular into the routine. By mid-June, the Mets' offensive machine was back into high gear. On June 15th, the team put on a record-time power display at Synergy Field. It began when baseball's greatest leadoff hitter opened a game with a home run for the record 74th time. But Ricky Henderson's blast was just the start of the fireworks. On this evening, practically everyone would go deep. When the dust cleared, the Mets had tied a franchise record with 6 home runs in the game. They went on to win 15 of 18 in the heart of June, culminating with a blowout of the Braves that pulled New York within 2 games of first place. After losing the series in Atlanta, the Mets continued to have trouble with the Braves, dropping 2 of 3 games at Shea. In the final inning of a 16-run drubbing, Bobby Valentine sent utility man Matt Franco to the mound in relief of a depleted bullpen. Although he struggled a bit, Franco did succeed in getting the Mets out of the game, highlighted by a strikeout of Andrew Jones. The Mets' next challenge would be an interleague series with the defending world champs. After dropping 2 of 3 games in the Bronx, Shea Stadium fans were hungry for revenge. The atmosphere was electric as a sellout crowd watched Roger Clemens and Al Leiter battle it out in Game 1. The pitcher's duel lasted until the bottom of the 6th, when Mike Piazza brought the crowd to its feet in dramatic fashion.
The 2-1 pitch, hit in the air to deep left field. Back goes Curtis, looking up at the wall. It's out of here! Mike Piazza with a line drive, 3-run homer into the bleachers in left field.
The 3-run blast held up, thanks to the dominant pitching of Leiter and Armando Benitez. Just 15 hours later, the 2 rivals would treat the Big Apple to one of the wildest games in the history of interborough sports. The Bronx Bombers lived up to their nickname, blasting away with 6 home runs. But the monster shot of the day belonged to Mike Piazza.
High fly ball hit deep to left field. Way back. It's going. Yeah, there it goes. Mike Piazza, a 3-run homer.
It was the longest Mets home run of the season, traveling an estimated 482 feet to push the home team out in front 7-6. When the Yanks took a lead into the 9th inning, the Mets were left with one last chance to make some noise. Blocking their comeback hopes was one of the game's premier relievers, Mariano Rivera. But once again, the Mets rose to the challenge. Ricky Henderson drew a 1-out walk, and Edgardo Alfonso reached on a misplayed double. When the Yankees chose to pitch around Piazza, the bases were loaded for pinch hitter Matt Franco.
Now Rivera brings the hands together. Runners take a lead at all three bases. 1-2 to Franco. Line drive, base hit into right field. Henderson scores. Here comes Alfonso. Here comes O'Neill's throw to the plate. Alfonso slides. He's safe. The Mets win it. The Mets win it. Matt Franco with a line drive, single to right, and he's being mobbed by his teammates. Matt Franco, a two-run single off Mariano Rivera in the bottom of the ninth inning, and the Mets win it 9-8.
It was just a storybook kind of scenario there, and I happened to get a good pitch to hit, and you know, I did my job and hit a line drive, and we won the game. I felt great. I wasn't nervous, and it was just the highlight of my career.
It was a fitting end to the first half of the season, as the Mets took a series from the Yankees for the first time in 3 years of interleague play. Fresh off his Subway Series homers, Mike Piazza headed to Boston to start his 6th consecutive All-Star game. The Mets catcher was putting together a season worthy of All-Star status. After being named Player of the Week, Piazza went on to make his imprint on the Mets record book. He tied Hubie Brooks's 24-game hitting streak. Twice he matched the club mark for homers in consecutive games, and he set a new franchise record with 124 RBI. The Mets closed out the month of July with their biggest offensive inning of the year, a 7-run eighth against the Pittsburgh Pirates. The uprising was sparked by the red-hot Edgardo Alfonso, who tied a club record with 2 hits in the same inning. The Mets arrived in August with a record of 62-43. And a roster that included 3 new players. Veterans Darryl Hamilton, John Dunston, and Kenny Rogers were acquired at the trading deadline to help the team in its quest for a playoff berth. Hamilton collected 2 hits in his first game and notched a home run the following night. Brooklyn native Sean Dunston contributed a hit, stolen base, and RBI in his Mets debut. And left-handed starter Kenny Rogers won his first 5 National League games. He also collected his first RBI in a 3-game sweep of the Brewers that vaulted the Mets into first place. On August 16th, rookie Octavio Dotel carried a no-hitter into the 7th inning. The Padres spoiled the bid and tied the game. But the Mets emerged victorious in the 10th when Edgardo Alfonso came through with a dramatic game-winning shot. Back at Shea, the Mets split a Sunday doubleheader with the Cardinals, and Game 1 had more than its share of drama. Mark McGwire's scoreboard-shattering shot helped St. Louis to a 6-1 lead and set the stage for another amazing comeback.
The 1-2 to Olerud, hit in the air to deep right field. Back goes McGee, looking up at the wall, and it's out of here! Grand slam home run for John Olerud. It's a 1-run ball game. The 1-0 to Piazza and a high fly ball deep center field. Back goes through. Back onto the track, looking up, and it's out of here! Piazza ties the game. Piazza homers over the center field fence. Olerud and Piazza go back to back.
The Mets had erased the 5-run deficit with just 2 swings of the bat. And although the Redbirds retook the lead in the top of the 9th, the Mets came through in their half of the inning.
Line drive, base hit going into right field. Here comes Ordonez around third. Ordonez will score. It's a double and a run batted in for Ricky Henderson, and the Mets have tied the game at 7-7. 3-2 to Alfonso. Botanico's payoff. Swinging a ground ball toward the hole. Base hit in the left field, and the Mets win it. The Mets win it on an RBI single by Edgardo Alfonso. Franco comes across the plate to score. The Mets score 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning, and they yank it out.
The late inning heroics would continue a day later, as the Mets and Astros were deadlocked at 2 in the 9th. This time, the hero was pinch hitter Matt Franco.
Here's the 1-0. There goes Ordonez. It's hit in the air to shallow left field. Tough play. Out goes Bogart toward the line. Reaching, can't get it. Base hit. The Mets win the ball game. A parachute down the left field line off the bat of Matt Franco. And the Mets win it in the bottom of the 9th inning as Darryl Hamilton crosses the plate.
When the series shifted to Houston the following week, the Mets converted the Astrodome into a batting cage, handing the eventual Central Division champions their worst home loss ever. But the story on this night was a young man from Venezuela who staged the greatest individual offensive performance in Mets history.
You know, that's the way you should hit, you know. You just wait for your ball and get a good swing and see the ball and follow through.
Alfonso obliterated several of the club's single-game records, becoming the first Met to collect 6 hits, 6 runs, and 16 total bases. He also tied the club record with 3 homers and matched his personal best of 5 RBI. Despite Fonzie's impressive accomplishments, it was hardly a one-man show. Roger Cedeno swiped his 59th stolen base for a new franchise record. Darryl Hamilton collected 4 hits, and Masato Yoshii pitched 6 shutout innings of 2-hit ball for the win. Although the Mets went on to take 2 of 3 from Houston, they continued to lose ground to the streaking Braves, who carved out a 3.5-game lead heading into September. On September 5th, a healthy John Franco rejoined the staff with a solid inning in the Mets' 6-2 win. But it was a former Colorado player who was feeling Rocky Mountain high on this day.
Bases loaded, 1 man away, 2 runs are in. Swung, the high drive, indeed, to right field, way back. It may go. There it goes. Grand slam home run.
Hamilton wasn't the only Met to go deep against his former club. In a game against the Dodgers, Oral Hershiser and Kevin Brown were matching each other inning for inning when Mike Piazza took his old team to town.
The set by Brown, the 2-2 to Piazza. Hit in the air to deep left field. Sheffield turns around and watches it, and it's out of here! A long 2-run homer up into the pavilion off the bat of Mike Piazza, his 34th home run of the year. A 2-run shot off Kevin Brown, and the Mets go in front by the score of 2-1.
Although not known for his power, Ray Ordonez had managed to collect a single home run in each of his first 3 seasons. The fact that each of them came in the month of September led to playful speculation about when Ray was going to hit his annual home run. The answer? September, of course. The only difference was that this time, the bases were loaded.
Now Carlton lower off the stretch. And a long drive down the left field line. If it stays fair, it might do it. And it's a fair ball. A fair ball. A grand slam home run for Ray Ordonez. His first home run of the year. He always hits one in September, and this time he hits it with the bases loaded. And the Mets now have a 10-1 lead. What a night for Ray Ordonez.
It was definitely Ray's day for offense, as he smacked a total of 4 hits to lead the Mets in a 10-run blowout of the Philadelphia Phillies. The victory elevated the Mets to 34 games above 500, their high water mark for 1999. As they headed into the final 2 weeks of the season, the Mets faced 6 crucial games against the Atlanta Braves. Just a game back in the standings and 4 games up in the wild card race, the 2 series would have a tremendous impact on New York's chances. Unfortunately, Atlanta continued to have the Mets number, taking 5 of 6 games to secure the division title. In the wake of a Brave-induced 7-game losing streak, the wild card lead evaporated, and the Mets found themselves chasing the surging Reds and Astros. As October dawned, the cold reality of the Mets situation set in. They were 2 games out with 3 remaining, and the players no longer controlled their own destiny. But manager Bobby Valentine continued to believe.
When I saw some bags packed when I got to the clubhouse, I unpacked them for guys. So I thought that we had a good chance, and I didn't want anybody to think anything differently.
To make the playoffs, the Mets needed to sweep the Pirates, while either the Reds or Astros lost 2 of 3. Mathematically, the chance for such a scenario was slim, and the Bucks weren't going to make it any easier. In the first game, the 2 clubs battled to a 2-2 tie through 10 innings. But then the Mets loaded the bases in the 11th. Who better to have at the plate than Robin Ventura?
Now Scott Sauerbeck's pitching off the stretch. The 1-0 line drive, base hit. The Mets win the ball game. Ventura singles to right center. Dunston comes home to score, and the Mets live for another day. Ventura got the base hit off the left-hander, and the Mets win the game 3-2 in the 11th inning.
When the news came that both the Reds and Astros had lost, a cheer rippled through Shea Stadium. The Mets' playoff hopes were alive for another day. Before the Mets took the field in Game 2, they got more encouraging news from Milwaukee. The Reds had lost to the Brewers for a second time, and the Mets were back in control of their future. But the road to the playoffs led through the Pittsburgh Pirates. For 6 scoreless innings, the teams kept the Shea Stadium crowd on edge. Then Robin Ventura came through with another big hit, providing Rick Reed all the offense that he would need.
Now the 2-2 delivery. Strike 3! Strike 3 called. The game is over. The Mets have won it. 12 strikeouts for Rick Reed.
Along with the career-high strikeout total, Reed crafted one of the finest pitching performances of his career, pulling the Mets even with the Reds in the wild card race with a 2-hit shutout. To assure themselves of a playoff berth, New York needed the Pirates to walk the plank one more time. And in typical Mets fashion, the game came down to the final at-bat. After singles by Melvin Mora and Alfonso, Olrud drew an intentional walk to load the bases. That set up a confrontation between Mike Piazza and former Met Brad Klontz. And on this occasion, Piazza got the job done without even swinging his bat.
Klontz is ready to go, pitching off the stretch. Deals to Piazza, low and outside, it gets away onto the screen. Mora scores! The Mets win it! The Mets win it! Mora is mobbed by his teammates as he crosses home plate. Brad Klontz bounced the first pitch up onto the screen. Melvin Mora scores the winning run. The Mets win in game number 162.
The Reds' win later that night sent the season to a 1-game playoff. After 162 games, the final piece of baseball's playoff puzzle had yet to be determined. The coin toss decided that Cincinnati would host the game, and a sellout crowd packed Synergy Field to witness the 6th regular season playoff in baseball history. The Mets drew first blood when Edgardo Alfonso stepped in with a man aboard.
Center field, going back to the ball is Hammonds. Still going back. Back to the wall, it's gone! And that one seemed to surprise Hammonds. He started to break back easily on it, thinking he had a play. But he did not. It was over the 404-foot marker. And the Mets have jumped ahead of Paris 2-0 after only 2 batters.
New York added runs in the 3rd, 5th, and 6th. But on this night, 1 run was all that Al Leiter would need as the Met ace hurled a complete game shutout.
Here's the pitch. Swung, lined hard, caught. The game is over. The Mets win it. They're on their way to Arizona. A wicked line drive hit by Dimitri Young, caught by Edgardo Alfonso. The game is over. The Mets have won the wild card in the National League.
was a big game, obviously a one-game playoff, knowing that the loser goes home. It was a good time to come up big, but I think what helped me was the fact that Alfonso got the early home run, Henderson gets a home run, and I had a lead, and it turned out to be obviously a big game, and we went on to Arizona.
For the first time in 11 seasons, the New York Mets were playoff bound. Their division series opponent would be the Arizona Diamondbacks, who had taken 7 of 9 games in the season series. But the Mets showed no sign of being intimidated by the D-backs or their #1 starter. New York jumped out to an early lead when Edgardo Alfonso and John Olerud connected off of Randy Johnson. Tied at 4 in the top of the 9th, manager Buck Showalter pulled his Cy Young Award winner in favor of Bobby Schwinard. Edgardo Alfonso stepped in with the bases loaded.
One pitch and a drive in the air to deep left field, down the line. Donovan stays fair. That ball is out of here! Out of here! Grand slam home run! And the Mets have taken an 8-4 lead.
Fonzie became the first player in history to connect for a grand slam in his postseason debut. The stunning playoff victory was the Mets' first in 11 years, and the first ever for their star catcher.
You have this opportunity very rarely to make an impact and get to the postseason, and for us to kind of seize that moment and hopefully we could build on that was just a thrill.
Arizona evened things up in Game 2, and the series shifted back to Shea. Rick Reed took the mound and kept the potent Diamondback hitters in check, while New York's offense mounted the biggest postseason inning in club history. The 6-run six was the difference, as the Mets moved within a game of the National League Championship Series. In Game 4, Melvin Mora's perfect 8th-inning throw was one of the keys to the game, saving a run to keep the Mets within striking distance. The big play paid off 2 innings later when Todd Pratt came to bat with 1 out and destiny on deck.
Man size 1-0, and a high fly ball deep to center field. Back goes Finley, going back. Warning track at the wall, jumping, and it's out of here! It's out of here! Pratt hit it over the fence. Finley jumped and he missed it. The Mets win the ball game. The Mets win the ball game on a home run over the center field fence by Todd Pratt. The Mets have won the series 3-1.
You know, I hit it good. I think my reaction right after I hit it was, it has a chance, because I remember watching it, even running to first. And then I saw Steve Finley running back and getting into his, set to jump. And, I've seen it a million times on ESPN by himself and making great grabs. He went up and I rounded first and my heart stopped. And he came down, I thought he had the ball, and he put his head down and I knew the game was over.
With that historic blast, the Mets ended another team's season for the 3rd time in a week. Ironic for a team that had itself been left for dead just days before. And so it was on to the National League Championship Series and a showdown with the Atlanta Braves, a team whose dominant starting rotation had bested the Mets in 9 of 12 regular season contests. And the Braves' success continued as they took the first 3 games of the series. When New York trailed Atlanta by a run in the late innings of Game 4, even the Shea faithful had to wonder if this was the end of the line. But the Mets proved they weren't finished yet. With a go-ahead run in scoring position, John Olerud stepped to the plate.
Rocker now into the stretches, 2-2. And the pitch. Bouncing ball hit toward the middle of the diamond. Off the glove of the shortstop. Tying red is Story. Coming home is Mora. 2 Reds are in. The Mets are in front.
Armando Benitez protected the lead with a perfect ninth inning, sending the series to a fifth game. It was an amazing comeback, even for a team and a franchise known for its on-field miracles. Game 5 would be a classic. In the first inning, Orud picked up where he left off, giving New York the early lead with another home run. Atlanta evened things up in the fourth, and the game would remain tied well into the night. The Braves threatened in the top of the 13th, but once again, Melvin Mora's defense kept the Braves' run off the board.
The 0-1, the runner goes on a line drive down the right field line. That's a base hit. Over toward the corner to cut it off is Mora. On his way to third as Lockhart is being waved home. Here's Alfonso's relay throw. He may get him, and Lockhart is out by 20 feet. Tagged out by Piazza, and the inning is over.
Trailing by 1 run in the bottom of the 15th, the Mets loaded the bases for Todd Pratt.
Here's the 3-1 pitch. Outside ball 4. The game is tied. Dunston trunks down the line for third to score.
With the game on the line, New York zeroed in for the kill as Robin Ventura played Batman once again.
A 2-1 pitch. And a drive in the air to deep right field. That ball headed toward the wall. That ball is out of here! Out of here! A game-winning grand slam home run off the bat of Robin Ventura. Ventura with a grand slam. They're mobbing him before he can get to second base. The Mets have won the ball game.
You know, thinking back of it, I mean, I know that it went over the fence, and it doesn't matter if somebody writes it down or not. I think you know what it was, and I think it's great that, you know, just the excitement it created, and guys were just going crazy. So, you know, I think it's fun. I sit back and laugh about it all the time.
Since he never reached second base, Robin Ventura's blast over the right field wall will be remembered as the longest single in Mets history. A fitting conclusion for the 5-hour and 46-minute contest that went down in the record books as the longest postseason game in Major League history. The Mets hope to carry some of that momentum back to Atlanta for Game 6. But New York ran into trouble early, falling behind by 5 runs as Leiter struggled to record an out. Trailing 7-3, the Mets bats came alive in the 6th when Mike Piazza stepped to the plate as the potential tying run.
Smoltz with a 2-1 pitch and a drive in the air to deep right center field. Back goes Jordan, back to the track, looking up, and it's out of here! It's out of here! Mike Piazza ties the game! Piazza ties the game with a 2-run opposite field home run!
The Mets continue their offensive in the 7th. With Benny Agbayani in scoring position, October standout Melvin Mora had yet another chance to shine.
The left-hander Rimlinger deals, and a drive toward the gap in left center, base hit. Benny Agbayani rounding third. Here comes Agbayani. The Mets are in the lead. The Mets are in the lead.
Like a great prize fight, the two teams continue to match each other blow for blow. When the Mets regained the lead in the top of the 10th, they were just 3 outs away from doing something that no team had ever done, coming back from a 3-game deficit to force a 7th game. But it was not to be. The Braves captured the series on Andrew Jones' bases-loaded walk in the 11th inning, and the miracle joyride had finally come to an end. But what a great October it had been. Facing elimination in 7 pressure-filled games, the Mets emerged victorious in 6 of them, and they concluded their season by turning a near sweep into one of the tightest and most exciting series in playoff history. For the New York Mets, 1999 will long be remembered for its exciting games, big comebacks, baseball records, and milestones. All in all, it was another miracle season for those amazing New York Mets.